Welcome to another edition of Prescott Talks. My name is Jim Dutton. I'm the president of Conservatives for a Constitutional Republic, and I've been asked to be your guest host today. And we're privileged to have with us Abraham Hamadeh, who is running for Arizona Attorney General. Abraham, good to have you with us today.
Thank you.
And by way of introduction, I think the viewers might like to know that you spoke at our group last month, and you made quite an impression, and that kind of got us to this place of having an interview today, so we'll be able to tell the people a little bit about you. So I'd like to start with, if you would, tell everyone about yourself, your background, maybe your qualifications.
Sure. Thank you, Jim. You know, I like to start off by saying I was born in Chicago, unfortunately. But, you know, it's pretty funny how my parents came here. You know, it's a total American dream story. My parents immigrated from Syria 30 some odd years ago with no education, no money, and they landed in the big city. And, you know, we randomly came out to Arizona because my dad won the lottery. It was like $50,000. It wasn't life-changing, but it included a stay at the Scottsdale Princess Resort. And this was January. So they got off the plane, they looked at each other, they said, wow, we found the Middle East of America. And the easiest decision they ever made was to move out here. So grew up in North Scottsdale, Cave Creek area. And, you know, I have an older sister. She married an NBA champion, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he played for the San Antonio Spurs. And then my brother's in town too, real estate investor. And for me, I'm a former prosecutor at the Maricopa County Attorney's Office. And, you know, my jurisdiction out there was actually downtown Phoenix. And it's a hellhole. I mean, our cities are turning into Gotham City so quickly. But, you know, done about 24 trials in my career. But besides that, I'm an Army captain and an intelligence officer. And I just recently returned from a 14-month-long deployment to Saudi Arabia.
Oh, wow. All right. So tell me, where does the title Honest Abe come from?
You know, in politics, cheesy works. So, but, you know, we actually, you know, Honest Abe is, Abraham Lincoln is, you know, obviously one of the best presidents. And for me, with honest, I'm brutally honest. So I tell people, don't ask me if that dress looks good on you. So I think what we need now in politics is just, you know, people with direct answers. You know, I think now people have a heightened sense of awareness that they realize, you know, there's so much noise out there, and everybody's basically saying the same things generally, you know, Republicans, border security, election integrity. This is where when you vet candidates, you look at them, and when you meet with them, you know, you have to see if they actually mean what they say, and go with your gut in a lot of this. You know, our guts are, you know, they've been around for a while, and they actually have good instinct. And, you know, I think we can't make the same mistakes we have been by electing the same old type of establishment politician to get us out of this mess.
Okay. All right. So what compelled you to enter the race for Attorney General?
It was actually when I got back from my deployment. When I got back here September of 2021, you know, I look around and I no longer recognize our country. And I think our founding fathers would be ashamed of us for what we've put up with over the past 2 years. And, you know, this isn't new. Politics isn't new to me. It's new for me to run, but I got involved way back in 2007 on the Ron Paul campaign. And I like to tell people, I've been right from the very beginning. I haven't been a Democrat. You know, and Ron Paul back then, he was, you know, pretty much hated by the establishment, yes, by the media, by our own Republican Party. You know, and I think it's just come now, it's just shifted where, you know, that we're aware that our country's dying. And, you know, I don't say that to be dramatic. I look around and I sense, you know, I'm the youngest candidate running. And I sense that I want to see a sense of urgency, that how quickly we're losing it and how quickly COVID has changed things. And, you know, it's different even from the Ron Paul times and the Tea Party times. You know, that back then it was more of a philosophical fight. But what we're going up against right now is so insidious, and they're attacking us on every angle possible. And they've overtaken every aspect of our lives. And you need a strong AG to push back. I was looking for a strong AG during the COVID lockdowns. I didn't see anybody. I was looking for a strong AG for the whole election mess that we dealt with in 2020. You know, I've been wanting strong leadership, and, you know, I look around and I say, if it's not me, then who? And I decided to jump in, and it's been a hell of a campaign so far. You know, I jumped in last in November, And I've already been on the radar. George Soros and the ADL have classified me as one of the most dangerous candidates running for office. So,
well, that's quite a badge of honor.
It's a huge badge of honor, actually. It's the best endorsement I can get. But besides that, we got the endorsement of Freedom Works, which is a big conservative group. And then we also got Trump's entire national security team has endorsed me, including Rick Grinnell, his former director of national intelligence, Robert O'Brien, his former national security advisor, and Kash Patel, who really exposed the whole Russia collusion back, a few years ago with the whole impeachment mess. So it's been great. And, we got about 2 months left of this campaign, but we're going to pull it off.
Well, good. Now, the role of Attorney General is really important. I mean, obviously enforcing the laws, but you are to protect the citizens, their rights, their liberties of Arizona, and also against fraud, scam, election fraud, all those good things, criminal prosecution, even involvement in passing new legislation.
That's right.
So do you think that you have any particular strengths that, you can bring to that aspect of the job?
Yeah, all of them. And I tell folks, I haven't sat behind a desk my whole career. I've in the Army, I've been, when you have missiles coming in from Yemen, you have to react differently. And when I tell folks that we're at war right now, right here in our country, the radical left is, they certainly see it. That's why we feel ambushed. I mean, every single week there's something new. I mean, now it's baby formula that we're running at. Before it's Disney's coming after us, right? So for me, what I look at the office, is you have to prioritize. The office, the Attorney General is a leadership position. And I think, this is where you have to make sure you have got your priorities right. And our border is wide open. And we have to first understand why it is. It's open because it's intentionally opened. And it's very orchestrated. I mean, we saw even before Joe Biden took office, they're wearing Joe Biden t-shirts saying, let us in. I mean, they don't just make these t-shirts. It was very intentional what's going on. And when I talk about George Soros getting involved, he's been involved in, he's a smart guy. I mean, he's evil, but he's a smart guy. He's got involved in DA races and secretaries of state races because he recognizes that the law is just a text on a piece of paper without enforcement. And that's where an AG comes in and prioritizes the office. What I intend to do when you're talking about impacting new legislation is actually have the new legislature empower the AG's office to be able to overtake any felony criminal case. And because you're seeing what's going down in Pima County, where they have a George Soros prosecutor down there already who's refusing to prosecute certain crimes. I think you need to have the AG, have the backbone and actually enforce law and order. So that's one priority. But another priority is obviously, you're right about consumer protection. And I keep honing in on this idea. This is not a normal election year. I mean, this November will determine our country's future for the next century. It's no longer just big government that we're fighting. Now it's big business, it's big tech. It's unusual for conservatives like us to, be fighting against business, right? But no, some of these businesses, what they're doing, they've become agents of the government. And I say that, remember the Canadian truckers. If you donated money to the Canadian truckers, what were the big tech GoFundMe? What they were going to send that money to radical leftist organizations. Right. But it was state AGs who actually stepped in and stopped it and prevented that from happening. So we're being ambushed on every single angle, and it's not just big government anymore. It's our state government, right? I mean, with the whole COVID lockdowns, it's with the big business, big tech. It's with big sports. So we really need to elect, people, America First Republicans who understand what's going on. And I tell folks, I can't do it alone. I need good school board members. We need a good state legislature. We need a good governor. But besides that, we need an active and engaged citizenry. And I think that's what we've lost so much. Americans, we've gotten so complacent. And I think that's why we're in the mess we've been in. And I think finally we've awakened and we're never going back to sleep.
Right. Yeah, I think so too. I think that's right. Your financial disclosure statement has raised some questions due to what some would call limited scope. Doesn't appear that you own any property, that you have any debts, that type of thing. Right. So, and you live, according to the address, I guess, as a bank building or something. So do you want to elaborate on that? Maybe let people know what that's all about?
Yeah, I actually got a call from the Republic talking about that today. So when we filed that financial disclosure statement, I was actually filing to get on the ballot at the time. So they had me rush to a computer. We didn't know we needed that statement until we were doing it. So we rushed through it, but we have updated our financial disclosure statement. However, they said that it's not going to be, the updated one's not going to be posted online for some reason. But I'm willing to share that PDF with anybody. But it's actually pretty limited too. I own a property. I own my own house, and I have no debt. Already being paid for my law school, luckily, and so I've been very blessed to be in life, with a pretty good position. But own my own property, so it's not at a bank. I assure you. I live in North Scottsdale. And I think one other one was, I asked you like, oh, where'd you get your income for the past year? Yeah, I was in the Army, so I got my income because I think the disclosure was from March 2021 to like March 2022. So yeah, from March 2021 to October of 2021 or September 2021, I was being paid by the Army. And then since, I resigned from the county attorney's office and I'm running for office right now.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, it's a legitimate question because that document was wrong. But we updated it.
Well, it's kind of odd that they would not take the updated version and put that out for you. I don't know.
They sent me an email stating that they received it and then they're not going to update it online. So it is weird that they're not updating it. And it's weird because imagine somebody who wanted to actually hide some stuff. They would just file that document and then just update it legally, but I don't know. It's odd. I don't control the Secretary of State. So.
So how would you rate your knowledge of the United States and the Arizona constitutions?
Right. I think the knowledge is, you could always learn more from it. And I think it's, me, I took so many constitutional law classes in law school. However, they're taught by liberal professors, even though, they're still pretty good. And so much of it, they teach you not the Constitution, actually. What they teach you is case law. And for me, I subscribe to the Justice Thomas idea that the ultimate stare decisis is the Constitution, not case law. So I have a pretty good grasp of the constitutions because those are the two documents that I'm going to swear to uphold.
Well, on the aspect of the Arizona statutes, we had recently had our governor declare a state emergency, which gave him almost dictatorial powers in another section of the statutes. Is that something that you would look into, something that you would try to find out, are these laws really constitutional? I mean, just because they were passed, do they fit muster? Or, what would you think?
Right. I mean, I think it was an unconstitutional power grab. I think the emergency powers are unconstitutional. And, he just ended the executive emergency powers actually just last month. 2 years. That's how long this emergency has lasted for. And that's when I tell folks it's a shame. Our founding fathers would be ashamed of us for what we've put up with. I mean, the government should have no business shutting down churches, schools, small businesses, or having our loved ones die alone at the hospital.
Right.
I think the pandemic and the COVID situation was so eye-opening and how heavy-handed the government has been for no reason. I mean, it's not like it saved a single life. It actually caused mental illness. It's caused so much, the unintended consequences of it. And that's where I was waiting for an AG, to step in, like Brnovich, because ultimately, the first role of government is to secure your liberties. Right. And they've openly violated it for so long. So we would tackle it, and I need a good legislature to rein in some of the governor's executive authority.
Okay, well, we got about a minute or so left. Anything you'd like to tell people? And you can talk directly to them if you'd like.
Sure. My name's Abraham Hamadeh. I'm not desperate to be a politician. I'm desperately worried about our country. I think it's time we elect those who are making our decisions to actually have to live with the consequences of the decisions they make. When I tell people our country's going to hell, I mean, it's so true right now. It's happening, and it's so orchestrated and intentional. And I'm trying to wake up people to the fact that this is my generation's fight. And I've served in the Army. I'm a former prosecutor. I know what's at stake, and I've been in the trenches. During the Ron Paul campaign back in 2007, and I haven't changed my perspective. I've recognized what's been going on, and I think if you care about securing our border, if you care about election integrity, I ask you to visit my website, abeforag.com, and would love your support.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you all for being with us tonight, and would just encourage you to stay tuned for part 2 of this interview. We've got a lot more to come. Thank you very much.